All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Good afternoon, parents. I am Laura Buckley, the Director of State and Federal Programs. I'd like to take a minute to thank you for joining us for today's parent meeting. I'm sure you already know how important you are to your child and his or her education, but I'm wondering, did you know that the best predictor of student success and academic achievement is the extent to which families encourage learning at home and involve themselves in their child's education? For that reason and many others, we are excited you are here. This afternoon, we'll start off with a presentation from Dr. Hicks, JISD Superintendent. This presentation will be recorded. If you have questions for Dr. Hicks, please feel free to put them in the chat and she will allow for time to answer them. Before I turn it over to Dr. Hicks, I'd like to introduce you to Vanessa Ashcraft. She's going to unmute herself and introduce herself and tell you a little bit about what I just said in Spanish.
Hola, hello everyone. I am Vanessa Ashcraft. I am the Director of Instructional Support here in Jarrell. For those of you who speak Spanish, que hablan español, yo soy Vanessa Ashcraft. Mucho gusto. Voy a estar aquí para las preguntas que tienen, si tienen cuando se termina esta junta. Ahorita es Laura Buckley, es la directora de federales, y pues ella aquí, pone todas estas juntas para los padres, para ver si podemos ayudarles en cualquier cosa.
All right, and now we'll turn the meeting over to Dr. Hicks. Dr. Hicks, please remember to unmute yourself.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Buckley. I appreciate it. I'm super thrilled to be here with y'all today, and it's exciting to see so many of our parents. Being on quarantine, it's been hard to be able to see and meet our parents, and so it's exciting to finally be able to meet our community. So thank you so much for joining us. I'm thrilled to share with you also. I've been here now about 4 months, and the work that we've done in that 4 months is a lot of planning for the future. And Ms. Buckley is sharing with me your involvement and what you're doing to support our community and support one another. And I'm excited to be a part of that journey with y'all. Ms. Ashcraft, if you'll just tell me maybe with a hand gesture when you need me to pause so that you can translate, I'll look to you to give me that sign.
Can you see that?
I can.
Okay, perfect. So, esta es la directora de las escuelas, se llama Tony Hicks. Va a estar aquí 4 meses ya, y todo que andamos haciendo aquí de las directoras de administración, estamos planeando para el futuro de los niños. Y y pues, como no pueden venir a la escuela por el COVID, ella quería hablar con ustedes para decirle el futuro de Jarrell.
Excellent. Thank you, Ms. Ashcraft. So just a little bit about myself. Like I said, I've been here for about 4 months now. Excited to be a part of the Jarrell family. I was raised in East Texas, but really I was brought up here in Central Texas. I moved here to go to college and been here pretty much ever since. I received my doctorate from the University of Texas, Hook'em Horns. I love seeing the smiles when I said that. I hope I have some fellow Horns in the audience. And I spent 18 years in Round Rock as a principal, and then I was assistant superintendent in Liberty Hill, which is a fast growth community also, so I'm very familiar with fast growth. And then had the great fortune of joining the Jarrell Cougars, so excited to be here. In all my experience, I've always been in fast growth. Having opened a new school as a principal, we opened with a little under 900 kids, and when I left, we were at 1,800 students at a middle school. And so I very much know the challenges, but also the rewards that come with fast growth. So when I walked into Jarrell on my first day, we had a facilities planning committee gathering and talking about what are the needs of our district. because as a fast growth, we want to make sure that we're planning accordingly so that all of our students have access to all the programs that are provided in Jarrell. So I'm going to share my screen with you and talk a little bit about that process. But as I do that, Ms. Ashcraft, if you want to share with them.
Yep. La directora dijo que ella estaba aquí de Texas, más antes en el otra parte y luego aquí. Vamos a presentar una información para los bondos que vamos a ver, y luego si tienen preguntas, por favor, nos dicen. Ella pasó aquí de Round Rock por 16 años, y luego de Liberty Hill, y luego aquí. So, ella tiene bastante, ¿cómo se dice? Expertise.
Experiencia.
Experiencia. Thank you.
Experiencia.
Okay, and so, y ahora vamos a presentar la fianza de Jarrell.
The Jarrell 2021 bond, as I was sharing earlier, is a result of a committee coming together that was a cross-section of parents, community members, staff, looking at the needs from the entire district, K through 12, and seeing what can we do to make sure that the needs of our students who are coming very rapidly to our district, their needs are being met. And so as a result of that, the bond committee recommended to our school board a bond of $113 million broken into two propositions. And so when you go to vote, you'll see that there is Proposition A, which deals with school facilities, infrastructure, land acquisition, and buses. And then Proposition B, which is a stadium addition and improvements. And I'm going to share with you a little bit about both of those propositions. What I'll tell you is that a large part of this bond is reactive. And when I say reactive, that means that we have a number of students coming to our district, and so we need to make sure that those needs are being provided for them. Some of what you will hear about, though, is also of proactive, because we know 10 years from now, what is our district going to look like based on demographer reports, so that we are planning appropriately, because land's not going to get any cheaper. I see a hand raised, so I'll stop for just a second.
Okay. El propuesta A tiene que hacer por las escuelas, las infraestructuras, acuiciones de tierra y autobuses, y propuesta B, adición al estadio y renovaciones.
All right, very good. Thank you, Vanessa. And so what I'll tell you on here also is that as the superintendent, I can only share facts with you. I am not permitted to share an opinion or anything that is not fact. So just so you know, as we go forward, there'll be, if you ask me questions related to how my feelings are or opinions, I can only revert back to facts. And so I shared earlier already about the Facilities Planning Committee and that it is a cross-section of our district, and so that it was fully represented. And so I'm just going to go through that slide fairly quickly to say that that committee met over several months. And so my first day on the job was November. And as I said, that on my very first day was the first planning committee. And we met multiple times over the course of several months and looked at varied pieces of data and multiple pieces of data to make that decision. And so looking at enrollment here, I was looking for the hand, Vanessa. Okay.
Yeah, after every slide, if you would just hold out for just a minute, that would really be helpful.
Absolutely, can do.
Okay, can you go back to the previous slide? Okay, el comité estaba compuesto de padres, dueños de negocios y líderes de la comunidad y maestros. Se juntaron para evaluar lo más urgente. Segundo de las recomendaciones del comité, la Junta redactaba $113,360,000 como bono. Okay, next slide.
Oh, very good. Thank you. Okay, so if you look at campus enrollments here, you'll see the number of students at each campus. Now, do we have any IGO parents here? Okay, I see some hands raised. Excellent. So that number there where it says 715, that was the number that was originally presented, but I will tell you that is not accurate anymore. We recently welcomed in 761 students as of today. We added 3 new students. So we have already exceeded that number for IGO, and the same holds true for Jarrell Elementary. Do we have any Jarrell Elementary parents? Excellent. I see several parents here. Okay. That number also has exceeded. We're at 502 students at Jarrell Elementary. And the same is true at the middle school. We have exceeded 519, and we have exceeded at the high school of 612. So that number there, while they projected that that's where we were going to be, we are already surpassing that. What the dark blue numbers represent are that's when we're over capacity. So you can see automatically in 2022 that IGO is already exceeding capacity. Well, an elementary takes over a year to build, and so next year IGO, we will be very tight in order to accommodate 844. And again, as I said, that's the projection number. If we have already exceeded 715 projection number, we can guess we're going to exceed 844. So that's the level of urgency, and I think we see it, right? Any parents live in Sonterra? Okay, I see lots of hands. I live in Sonterra too, and it seems like overnight I see a new house every day. Y'all too, I see some smiles there. Yeah, lots of houses being built in our neighborhoods, and lots of young kids, which I love seeing the young kids playing in the neighborhood, but that means we've got to have the facilities to accommodate for our new students enrolling to us. So I'll pause.
Okay. Se proyecta que habrá crecimiento en la cantidad de niños en cada escuela y se va a pasar de sus capacidades. Para este año 2021 ya vamos a pasar el 715, porque ya tenemos 744, 64. El año que viene, al 2022, ya vamos a pasar la capacidad de la escuela de IGO y también en Jarrell el año que viene, el segundo año. So, los números en azul se miden las cantidades de niños en cada escuela del distrito.
Very
Y,
good.
tenemos un año para hacer otra escuela de elementario.
Very good. Thank you, Ms. Ashcraft. There are a couple of questions here. I'm going to ask Carmen. I see your hand up. Did you have a question?
I think she did that when she was raising her hand for a student, which school her child was in.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Very good. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So I'm going to keep going then. And so if you look at then the history and projections, this is similar to what I was saying just a moment ago of what our expectations are for the next 10 years. And so in the next 3 years, to add an additional 1,352 students in 3 years. So if you think about that, the size of, that's a whole campus. Our elementaries are built for over 800 or a little less than 800 students. And so you can see 1,352 in 3 years and what that means. Next 5 years, close to 3,000 students. And then in the next 10 years, close to 4,500 students. That's an average growth of 10%. Now, what the demographers tell us is that the average of 10% in the next 2 years, we will have 19% growth. That's staggering growth in the next 2 years is what our demographer is sharing with us.
Okay, esta gráfica mostrará las proyecciones y los segundos años, en los segundos años. Cuando, como miras, en 3 años vamos a tener 1,322 más estudiantes. El año 5 años de aquí vamos a tener 2,749 y en 10 años vamos a tener 4,085. Esto es una proyección de 10%. En los 2 años que llegan después de eso, vamos a tener 19.
All right, so these are the neighborhoods that I was sharing with you, and thank y'all for pointing out that you couldn't see it. And so the top part represents Jarrell Elementary, the bottom part, Igo Elementary, and then as I was saying, the green and yellow represent the new neighborhoods that are going in. Vanessa,
Okay. Ahora hay 7 construcciones, hay 13 en el futuro pronto, y ahora hay 950 terrenos en 4 lugares o colonias. So I told them, I told them what was on there.
Very good, thank you. And so you can see in right here where it talks about there are 13 future subdivisions in the planning stages right here. So let's look at those. And so Sonterra Bailey Park, as I said, 557 total lots. Sonterra, 2,976 total lots. The Enclave, 138 total lots. And then Sonterra Eastwood, 1,290 future lots. And so you get an idea of how many additional homes will go into the area.
Okay. Las colonias nuevas estarán en la parte amarilla y le pertenecen a Jarrell Elementary y Igo. So, miras las estrellitas, las nuevas colonias van a ser allí en el amarillo.
Comunidades.
Comunidades. We're good.
Right, my system froze and I had to close. No problem, thank you. And so now we're looking at Schwartner Ranch. It's a new subdivision over by Igo. Many of you have probably seen it going in. They already have houses on the ground, 990 total lots. And then Coolwater is if you round that corner, Coolwater is there with 1,546 total future lots.
Okay, aquí serán Coolwater. Y puedes mirar que va a haber 1,046 terrenos en la futura y el Schwartner Ranch tiene 990 lugares para casas.
Very good, thank you. And so if we go to the next page, we can see Stone Ridge Crossing. And if you've been up the back way to Jarrell Middle School to cross under 35, it's that new subdivision that's going in. They're putting in an entrance right now, in fact. Many houses already in progress. Some houses are finished and families are living there, but you can see how fast those homes are going in. And that's a total of 449 lots. What you don't see there that is going in here soon is the Stone Crown, and that's an additional up to 125 future lots.
Y aquí en Stone Ridge Crossing hay 449 terrenos, y aquí en el Stone Crown ¿cómo se dice? 195 casas que pueden entrar.
Excellent, thank you. I love the teamwork. Thank you so much for helping us with our translation.
Yes, our numbers.
Sure, anytime.
Thank you. And so Home Place, which is on the west side of our district, is not built out yet. And so that's an additional 316 lots. And then y'all have all seen, if you've got a high schooler, Calumet across the street, 222 total lots. And again, houses are already on the ground there, but future homes being built.
En el Home Place va a haber 316 y en Calumet va a haber 222 casas.
And then coming soon, Rancho de Cielo and Rio Cresta. And so Rio Cresta is right over here by IGO. You may have seen that some of the dirt work is starting to happen. That's an approximately 420 future lots. And then Rancho de Cielo is on the west side of 35, 941 future lots.
En el futuro, 944 terrenos y en Rio Cresta, 420. Y estos van a ver en el futuro.
Very good, thank you. And so we've shared a lot about what it looks like on the, you actually went the, go the other direction, please, Vanessa, thank you. What it looks like on the west and the east side of our district and also on the northern side of our district. But this is what it looks like on the far south side of our district. You may remember there was a pocket of yellow and green there. And there's a neighborhood going in, Madison at Georgetown, which will be 936 future lots. Goodwater, which if you've been down 195, you may have seen they're already putting in a street into that area, and that'll be an additional 2,500 future lots. And then Berry Creek Highlands, 1,169 total future lots. So that's on the far south side of our district. It's actually Georgetown City, but it is Jarrell ISD.
Okay, in Hidden Oaks, the Berry Creek, 203 terrenos en total. Madison, 936. Goodwater, 2,500. Y Berry Creek, 1,169 casas que van a venir.
Thank you, Vanessa. And so going to the next slide then gets us into talking about Proposition A. And so now that you have a picture of our growth and our demographics, want to talk about what then our committee discussion included for this bond Proposition A. And one piece is an elementary number 3, which would be the same design as IGO, which saves us money by using the same design, the same footprint as our current elementary, and it would hold 800 students. It would also allow for middle school additions and renovations. And what that does is right now our middle school only allows a certain number of students. This would increase the capacity at our middle school, so it would hold off on any future middle school having to be built right away. It would allow us to take a number of years before that happens by having additions and renovations. And the same at our high school. This would push our high school up to allowing for 1,258 students. And by doing so, pushes out again the need for another high school.
Okay, propuesta A, escuela primera número 3, para 800 estudiantes y el vecino de la escuela IGO. La escuela intermedia, 12 salones nuevos y expandir la cafetería y la biblioteca. La secundaria, 12 salones nuevos y expandir la cafetería, biblioteca y 4 de deportes.
Great, thank you. So also included in Proposition A, you probably know if you're familiar with the area that on the west side of our district, we have what's called the Edwards Aquifer, which means it's an environmentally sensitive water collection. And so by increasing the capacity of our high school, we would need to improve our storm water infrastructure in order to retain that water. That would allow us to meet environmental requirements. If you've also been to the high school, you know that on our high school over by the auditorium, if you've been to the football field, that parking lot has big holes in it. I hope that you have not been a victim of any of those potholes, but they're there. And so this would allow for the rebuild of that parking lot so that it matches the other side of that parking lot and it's safe for cars to travel as well as people to walk on. And with technology, increasing the demand of technology, we would increase our infrastructure improvements. And then in addition to that future growth of expanding our middle school and our high school, the other future part of our bond is the land acquisition and design. So acquiring land so that as we plan for future growth, we have land to build schools.
Okay. También va a haber, oh, I'm sorry, are you done?
Yes.
Okay. En Protección A también va a haber renovaciones en la infraestructuras como los retienes de agua, el estacionamiento, la tecnología y tierra para el futuro.
All good? All right, thank you, Vanessa. And then also in here, and go the other way, yes, thank you, would include exterior lighting to ensure safety of our students and our staff. As we utilize outside facilities, especially in the winter months where it gets dark early, we want to make sure that we have the proper lighting so that people stay safe. And then access controls. Right now, our buildings require a key entry. We want to make sure that it is a badge entry so that it again is only allowing the people who have access to the building in the building. And so that would be district-wide controls at exterior doors, which again increases safety and security. And then adding additional security cameras across our district, both exterior outside of our campuses in the parking lots and the outside of the building, and interior, all of this relating to safety and security of our students and our staff.
Para la seguridad, necesitamos mejoramientos a las luces de afuera, controles que dan acceso a los edificios del distrito y cámaras para seguridad.
Thank you. And then transportation. Of course, with the growth of additional students, we would need to purchase additional buses in order to make sure that our students arrive to campus on time and are picked up at an hour that is a reasonable hour and delivered on time. So new buses would be needed for that. But also you can see in these pictures here, the close quarters that our mechanics are having to work to service our buses. By expanding that area and adding a lift, it allows us to maintain our buses at optimum functioning so that we can extend the life of our buses.
En el transporte, expandir el edificio de los autobuses, más estacionamiento y comprar más autobuses.
Very good, thank you. And then the history of Jarrell, many of our families, and this is one of the great things about Jarrell, is that our families have not only raised their families here, they were also brought up here also. They graduated from Jarrell. And oftentimes, their own parents have graduated from Jarrell. And so if you've been to the middle school and you've seen that building next to Jarrell Middle School, that building educated the families of our current families and our past families in Jarrell. Our design here is that it will also serve to educate our families in the future, that it will serve as meeting space for community members, which means that brings in revenue to our businesses. It will also serve as a hub for professional development, which then, as I said, will serve to educate our teachers so that we can educate the future generations of Jarrell.
Okay. Renovar el edificio antiguo para que se usa lugar de juntas, porque hay varios gentes aquí que viven en Jarrell que fueron a esta escuela, los niños de ellos van aquí en Jarrell ya, y por esto es el primer escuela de Jarrell y queremos hacerlo más para salvar esta antigua, porque es el mismo, es el corazón de la ciudad de Jarrell.
Excellent. Thank you, Vanessa. And do we have any baseball parents, softball parents here? All right, maybe future baseball or softball parents. And so our fields right now in this picture, you can see when I presented this to our baseball and softball parents, they called it Lake Jarrell because it floods. And so the renovations here would be to improve the drainage and add turf and also batting cages for our baseball and our softball field. And then also one of the services for our community is we have a tennis court. But if you know, it's hard for our community to use that tennis court because during school days, of course, our kids are on it, and at night there are no lights on it. So this would also provide additional or actual lighting to our tennis courts.
Okay, también van a haber renovaciones de deportes y el paso de artificial a las cajas de béisbol y softball, y nuestras renovaciones necesitan más cortes para el tenis y luz para la seguridad.
Very good, thank you. And then, so that concludes Proposition A. Proposition B is for stadium expansion. As we have recently become a 4A district, meaning it's a bigger audience that we play in front of, this would allow for stadium expansion on our visitor side. It would also allow for visitor restrooms. Right now, our visitors who come to our football field have to go around the field and utilize the same facilities as our home team. And so what this would do would allow for separate restroom facilities. And then also what that does is it makes us compliant with Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA. Right now it is not compliant, and so this would allow us to be compliant with federal law.
El estadio, queremos más asientos para para visitas, baños para las visitas y renovaciones que serán que necesitamos para la gente con discapacidades.
Thank you. And so, you know, as I opened, this bond is $113 million. What I'll tell you is, you know, it's kind of like a credit card, right? You get a credit card application in the mail and it says you're pre-qualified for this amount of money. Well, that doesn't mean that you go right out and you spend that amount of money. You stay within those limits. As a school district, our limit for a bond was actually around $140 million, but we didn't want to max out the credit card, so to speak. We wanted to be good stewards of taxpayer dollars and do what is needed for right now, but also with some future growth. All of that to say that this slide right here shares with you that this is no tax increase for our taxpayers. Because this middle column right where it says debt service INS is at 50 cents. That's the maximum school districts can tax is 50 cents. So there's no way, no legal way possible for your taxes to increase because it's already at 50 cents.
Si pasa este bono, no subirán los impuestos. Si miras aquí, en el área de medio, ya estamos a 50 centavos. No podemos subir de 50 centavos por la ley. Y ya pagamos eso porque ya no va a haber, si alguien te dice que van a subir los taxes, no es cierto.
Very good. So when you go to vote, it is the legislature at the last legislative session required on every ballot for the language to say this is a property tax increase. It's for every bond, everywhere, doesn't matter, that's the law. But what I'm sharing with you is that even though it says that, this is not a property tax increase. Again, as I've indicated, 50 cents is the maximum.
Aunque en las boletas siempre dicen que pueden subir las taxas. No van a subir las taxas, impuestos, porque ya estamos a las 50 centavos. Esto es información que viene del gobierno, pero no van a subir los taxes porque ya estamos a 50 centavos.
Great, thank you.
Sorry, my mouse is very touchy.
No problem. And so this just again is repeating what I had said earlier, that if approved by voters, this bond proposal will not increase the district's tax rate.
Y esto también dice que este bono no puede subir las taxas que paga la comunidad al distrito. Y estamos en la cuota máxima para la ley de cuentas centavos, 50 centavos.
Very good. Thank you. And so you may be wondering, so how is that possible then, right? We take out a loan, if you will, for $113 million. Well, so what it's kind of like that credit card analogy earlier, is that because we have more coming to us, more homes will generate more revenue to pay back that fund. And so that's what this slide here represents, is you can see that the assessed valuations per year will increase and has increased over time. So that's how we were able to receive approval for that bond amount.
Okay, los precios de la casa en Jarrell han subido cada año, como la ven en la foto, porque aquí podemos hacer los taxes porque hay mucha gente moviéndose aquí a Jarrell. Y con más gente, más casas, más taxes que pagan otros que viven aquí.
Great, thank you. So, register to vote by April 1st. You have to register to vote if you're new to Jarrell. You have to do that before April 1st. And if you need a form, please let us know. We'll be happy to get a form to you so that you may register to vote by April 1st. Early voting is April 19th through the 27th. And then the last possible day to vote, which is Election Day, is May 1st.
Regístrense para votar antes del 1 de abril, si todavía no puedes votar. El voto temprano es en abril, el 19 al 26. Día de elección es el 1 de mayo a las 7 de la mañana a 7 de la tarde.
Very good, thank you. So I see some questions over on the side, and I think Ms. Buckley, you were going to help with navigate those.
Yes, ma'am. So at the very top, it's talking a little bit about crossing guards. So they were hoping that maybe you could address whether or not this would potentially solve a problem with the crossing guards and possibly flashing lights or crosswalks.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to be sure that our students are getting to school safely. So we are working with our transportation department to secure additional crossing guards in those hot zones, as we call them. I'm also working, I visit with our county commissioner every other week, and we look at traffic patterns to determine if additional lights may be needed to make sure that it's a safe area around our schools.
They would also like for you to talk a little bit about the middle school losing Wi-Fi as well as the high school.
Yeah, we've experienced that today, right? And so that is something that we are concerned about also. And in that bond package is listed the improvements for technology so that we can add additional infrastructure in to boost up our Wi-Fi connections.
And one of the parents is wondering if this will help with the school zones at the high school and possibly a speed limit sign or some type of a traffic light near the high school.
Yeah, so, one of the things that we're working on with Commissioner Covey and also our city manager, Vanessa, is the possible annexation into the city. Right now, our high school is not in city limits. It's actually just in the county. In order to add additional lights or maybe even reduce the speeds, we're looking at the possibility of annexation or even working with our county to lower that speed limit, especially knowing how many of those quarry trucks are coming down that road. We certainly want to make sure that our kids who are new drivers are safe as they pull out onto that road.
Emerson is wondering how he can receive a registration ballot.
Oh, very good. So Emerson, Ms. Buckley, if you can get the information from Emerson, we will get that delivered to you.
I sure can, yes ma'am. And let's see. Jennifer Bailey just added that voter registration cards will be available at every Jarrell ISD campus office after spring break because a couple of people are asking about voting or getting registered to vote.
I see Shadow's comment too. I agree. Mom worries, right?
Yes.
I think of all these kids as my kids, and so I worry too. I'm right there with you.
And Dr. Hicks, I think that covers it.
Very good. Well, I so appreciate you guys being here with us today. I appreciate also Hannah, you helping us to translate. Stefani Hicks, I see a new baby there sitting on your lap, and so I know we've got future Jarrell Cougars coming to us soon. Please know if you do have questions or anything that we can do to assist you with any questions that you may have, don't hesitate to let us know.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Hicks. And if there are any other questions that come up, I'll let you know.